Good morning, everyone. This is Kathy Mason from Mason Works Marketing here on Conscious Business Zone today with my friend James Bonato. Hi, James.
Good to see you.
Yeah. So James and I got to meet in person, but was that in Washington D.C. or Salt Lake City? Salt Lake City.
No, it was in Virginia, actually, just outside Washington, D.C.
Well, near Washington.
Yeah.
So, and because James and we had met online before that, because James is a documentary filmmaker. He actually is a photographer, professional photographer, and filmmaker for a living. And I don't know if you've retired and now you're only doing you do it all. Okay. So anyway, and such a generous soul. James is really remarkable. When I got to meet him in person, he featured a documentary that he had done with near-death experiencers, and he had the whole crew that he had filmed. He made sure that they all could afford to come to the event. And you're just so generous the way you do all of this. So, James, the three documentaries that I know of, you had this passionate hit to share about it. Could you talk about this journey that you've had? Because it's like you discover something and then you want everybody to know about it. Is that right?
That is exactly right. Yeah. I really want to make documentary films to inspire and make a positive difference in this world. Doesn't always work, but I try really hard to make a difference. And all five of the films that I've had have that theme. So that's why I do this. And I don't really make any money on the documentary films. These are affairs of the heart. The way I make my money in my career is videographer. I'm actually not a wedding photographer. I'm a wedding videographer.
Oh, okay.
I do other videos too, but I've been doing that for about 35, 36 years now. And documentary films are just something that I do on the side.
Wonderful, wonderful. So James, tell us though, how this all started, where you got the inspiration, because you're as a videographer, and I apologize that I called you just a photographer, because your work has such a different essence to it, where you're capturing, you're not just photojournalism. It's not just capturing it as black and white. You're capturing the emotion and the energy and the essence of what's going on. And did that come naturally, or how did that happen?
It came naturally.
Oh,
Absolutely,
cool.
it came naturally. This particular film, Resilience Has a Face, came to me because of the subject of the film, who's Dr. Sandra Road. And quite frankly, I made the film because I wanted to inspire people. And I invite the whole audience to watch this film because I think everybody is going to find something in this film to be inspiring. It is a film about Dr. Sandra Road, who came from a ghastly childhood. It was so bad, it's hard to talk about it. But her childhood was just in the lowest, dirtiest part of the gutter. And she clawed her way out to become a member of a society. And not only that, she exceeded that and now is really just at the top pillar of a person who gives to the environment. It's mainly towards children, but adults too. Adults will absolutely get something out of it. I don't really think, Kathy, that 1.5 million people could accomplish what Dr. Sandra Road has accomplished. Quite frankly, if we all were in that situation, her childhood, we would either be an alcoholic or a drug addict, or we would be in jail, or maybe we would be dead. but she finds a way, and just inspiration, inspiration, inspiration.
Well, what I love about the films that I've seen from you, there was a Covert Narcissist film, and and Near Death Experience, and now Resilience Has a Face, and we'll show the trailer in just a few minutes. They all are talking about the human condition and giving us new heroes, because it really is about that. I mean, we're seeing in this time period of high change that there's so many things that we really want to auto-correct or correct that are going on in our world. But here are these people that were able to turn around their lives, no matter what cards they were dealt. That would be said about the near-death experiencers, where they got a second chance to be the being they really wanted to be, and the covert narcissists, where you really get to see that you forgive yourself and everyone else around you about being manipulated. And then this one, this doctor, she's a hero. She is a real hero. That those stories are the ones we want to tell, not the basketball player that makes bazillion dollars, or well, do you know what I mean? I mean, we have a chance to be inspired and go, pat yourself on the back, clean yourself off and just start again, cry, whatever you have to do, right?
Absolutely. And a lot of people are falling down because of something that happened to them, or some unfairness or whatever. And especially with Resilience Has a Face, there's an axiom. I'm not sure if I'm quite quoting it correctly. Some people say you have to hit rock bottom in order to heal, probably because when you're at rock bottom, there's nowhere else to go but up. But Sandy teaches us through the film that whatever stage you are in falling, there's inspiration, and you can pick yourself up. And the examples are just marvelous.
Right. Well, so when you're doing these films, how did you find this story? Because there's got to be, you must have this angel on your shoulder that says, "Okay, James, you told them all about this. What's the next thing we should do?" So you're not done for sure. But what would you say is the inspiration? What like, how did you even find her?
Well, we've known each other for about 35 years now. I'll get to that. But you know me very well, Kathy. You know all about me, and you know that I try and wake up every morning trying to make a difference. I fail at it a lot of times, but I really basically try and change my little corner of the world that I can try and affect. I mean, I would love to do it on a grandiose scale, but that's just not going to happen. So with my documentary films, I try and maybe plant a seed in somebody else's head that you can change. And I don't know how many people I'm reaching by my documentary films. I'm hoping there's something, but it all comes from that.
Right. Well, you're obviously on a journey, and they're just getting better and better. The angles that you're getting these people at, and the passion that you're sharing, and the interaction of the people in it, it's getting better and better. So yeah, I'm just excited to see what's coming next. I mean, but anyway, well, let's give this video. So first of all, so everyone knows, all of James's videos are free, correct?
The documentary films, yes.
Documentary. Sorry, I don't want to make sure I say that. And they all are potentially life-changing.
Yes.
The opportunity to look at your life through a different lens is palpable in them, correct?
Correct. And this film more than any other.
Right. So why don't we right now show the trailer real quick, okay?
Okay.
And you can let me know if the sound is good.
They build walls in front of her.
Well, let's start. There we go.
She is unstoppable. She's resilient. They build walls in front of her. She's going to find a way to get over, around, or penetrate through.
Meet my grandmother, Dr. Sandra Road. She was caught in a web of frequent struggles, a web of unspeakable hardships that seemed impossible to escape from.
The only thing I could think of when I would think about those years.
Uh-oh. Did it freeze up?
To accept love. I don't even know what that felt like.
If you're in the gutter and you got nobody else to turn to outside of God, trust you me, that's the woman you want on your team.
I saw myself talking to God, and I would say to him, if you give me an opportunity to get out of the way I feel and how that I am, I promise you, if they have any issues, I'm gonna be there to help. When we're in camp, it was almost as if they were all my children.
Just her presence invokes something in you to want to do better. You can't be in her presence and settle.
Wonderful. Thank you. So that is just a teeny part of the event, the emotional experience that you'll have with this documentary. I found it like you wanted to cheer in parts of it because again, we need new heroes. We need people that have gone through ups and downs and still came through with their highest knowing and their highest capacity and the biggest heart ever. They didn't let their story define them. They actually use that as a way to step out of it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There was a point, because I had the hardest part of my life was 3 years ago. I had something very unfairly done to me. Right. And I remember when I was going through it, I was thinking about it and I said, you know what? I'm never going to get over this. I think this is just going to last forever. But when you watch Resilience has a face, you're going to go, oh, we are so capable of doing stuff that we had no idea that we could come out of and accomplish. So I certainly came out of mine because of this film, and I'll probably expand on that a little bit later, but we're capable of doing so much more.
Well, the thing is that when we look at what's being shown for entertainment at this point, you either have edutainment where you're learning something about science or whatever, and then you have these other stories, and unless you're going to Hallmark, they're full of violence. I mean, it's just, for sensitives like me, it's like I can hardly, I wake up still seeing the scenes if I see it, if I watch it.
And not only the violence, but revenge.
Right.
Revenge is like, now, so you and I, as you said earlier, we met on the film Peace on Both Sides of the Gate, which is about near-death experience. And both you and I learned, or at least I learned from these NDEers, that love is the cornerstone of humanity.
Right.
All right. So as we go through that, and if we're thinking about revenge, and Kathy, I'll be honest with you, 3 years ago, I wanted to physically hurt this person
Yeah.
who hurt me. But as Sandy points out in the film several times, revenge has nothing to do with love being the cornerstone of humanity. All right. Everybody's got a mission. We've got a little bit of different mission. We've all got a purpose. Every one of us should have love as part of that purpose. And revenge doesn't have anything to do with that. If you watch the film, and when you watch the film, you'll count like 3, 4, 5, 6 times where Dr. Sandra Road really revenge would have been warranted. It would have been merited. And it's only brought out once, and it's in the very beginning of the film where she's still having trouble with one thing that she's having a hard time getting over. But revenge is not the way. And I agree with you, Kathy, that, and today those are the popular films. At least I think that they are.
Yeah, the thing is that the storyline, if you look at story arcs in the film industry or in publishing, we publish books, there's always the hero's journey is that they go through and they have an obstacle to go past, and then they come back through, and so it's almost like an uphill climb. They get to the top of the hill, so they make it past the obstacle, and then they come back down. And what we're not seeing that much of those kind of stories. If you even go to the ancients, I mean, humanity is still maturing into a loving, peaceful beings, and that's what this film. She is such a representation. Well, the near-death experiencers too are a representation of hitting a wall because they physically were damaged. I mean, lots of people have spiritually transformative experiences, but these people, the rest of their lives, for however long they live, they will have aches and pains and problems with their physical body from having that opening experience. Whereas, and emotional and physical scars are so similar that they can also be a brick wall either way, right? I mean, this is really, I don't even know if you realize what you're doing, that you're bringing these beautiful stories to light.
Well, I tell you, she, of course, has a physical scar. She even talks about it, but she has many. And it was very, very difficult for her to tell the story. First of all, she's not a person who likes to toot her own horn. She doesn't like doing that. But she had to in order to make this film. I kind of am the same way. I don't really like to toot my own horn either. But here I am on an interview, so I have to toot it a little bit. But what had happened was, I was trying to make this film, trying to get a subject for it. And quite frankly, it was her grandson, Trayvon, who came to me and I said, I think you should do a documentary film on my grandmother. And I said, well, goodness gracious, I've known her for 35 years. I agree with you, but I don't think that she's going to want to do it. And I was right. She didn't want to do it. It took a lot of I don't want to use the word prodding, but maybe that's the best word. I talked to her and I said, your grandson thinks that we should make a film about you. And she goes, you know what? I'm a therapist. I have to be concerned about my clients. I have to be concerned about how the world looks at me. I don't really want to tell the whole world about what happened to me. She also had to think about her family, how her family was going to respond to this, which was critical. And so I was trying to, I was trying to push the envelope, let's say that. And I said, hey, Sandy, you and I have done how many assignments together over the last 35 years? Like 50 assignments, video things where you're in front of the camera and I'm behind the camera and I'm looking at you. And for 35 years, I've panned left and panned right on you. I've zoomed in, I've zoomed out. I know you very well. And you know me very well. You know how I like to tell stories through video. I said, so you in front of the camera, me behind the camera? Come on now. I think we're going to come up with something. So a couple of weeks later, I guess she chewed on that, but I'm sure there were other factors that made her text me and said, James, I want to do the film, or I'm going to do the film. Because when Sandy Road says that she's going to do something, she's going to do it. So she committed to the film. And as we made it together, well, her being in front of the camera, and I did all the editing, of course. You come up, Kathy, with something called the first draft. I'm sure you're familiar with that. And when you make a film, whether it be a documentary film or anything, the first draft is never the final draft, right? So with Resilience Has a Face, which was very difficult to make because of so many variables, surprise, surprise, I got too close to the film. I was trying to make it, and I was so, think about walking into an art gallery and you see a beautiful mural on the wall. And think about walking right up to it and putting your nose to the thing. You can't see it. You're too close. You got to back up. And it got to the point where I couldn't even look at the film. I didn't even know what I had. I was so close to it. Sandy, she had the same problem. She saw the first draft and she goes, man, this is a film about my life. How am I going to be objective? So we kept working on it. And Kathy, I want you to guess how many drafts there were to make the final film.
I have no idea, but I've helped on films before where we had groups meet at like we'd have Thanksgiving dinner and someone would give me a test video, and then we all would say, this is where make this shorter, make this longer, all of that. I bet say 10 drafts. I don't know.
You're very close. It was 8.
Wow.
So
that's a lot of work.
The film that is now finalized and has been finalized for a while, since December, that is draft number 8. That's the final film. And that's how we came to it. And the neato torpedo thing about that is that we premiered the film in a theater in Germantown, Maryland.
Perfect.
And we had a lovely ribbon cutting ceremony before it where county executives were there and were presenting us with accomplishments. And there's Sandy and I were in the theater, and it was like about 150 plus people. We were very, very excited. And the theater, of course, is very dark. And Sandy and I are sitting up front to the left. And, we're watching the film. Of course, the two of us had seen it many times. And we're kind of just listening to the audience to see if they're into it, and they're very involved. And so it's an hour-long film. And at the end, where the end credits are rolling, the audience erupted. They were just going crazy. They were hooting and hollering and whistling and cheering and applauding and standing up. And Sandy and I just looked at each other and went, what just happened? I think we got a film on our hand here, because neither of us knew about what was going to happen. So apparently we had a documentary film on our hands.
Oh, that's so rewarding. That's so wonderful.
Yeah.
So what are you doing besides talking to me to get this out? Are you showing it again in a public location?
Well, I've done a couple of interviews for it. Yes, it's on cable TV in Maryland, in Montgomery County. It's been shown a number of times. We're trying to put it out. We've got a couple of irons in the fire. We also want to put it in her county, which is Prince George's County, which is where she's from. There's a whole bunch of irons in the fire. I don't want to talk about them because I'm not sure they're going to come to fruition.
Okay.
But the point of the film, well, there are many points to the film, but here's my point, and I really try and subtly reveal this through the film, okay? And it's the fact that, Kathy, we all have obstacles in our life, and you mentioned it early. We all have obstacles, okay? Some of us have a few obstacles to jump. Some of them are very high. Dr. Sandra Road had many obstacles, and they were very high. Okay. And I wanted to bring out something in the film. I almost compare it to a boxing match. Okay. These obstacles that we're trying to get over. If you have an opponent in the ring and they knock you down to the canvas, you can lay there. You've got a broken nose, you're bloodied. You can either remain on the canvas and say to yourself what I said 3 years ago, I'm never going to get over this. And you can just be like, woe is me. Or you can get up off that canvas, from the canvas, and continue that fight and try and make a difference in this world. Resilience Has a Face is the example of the latter, which I really wanted to drive home. So that was my big point of the film. But everybody is going to be able to get some facet out of this film. I promise you, because
Right.
like 6 or 7 or 8 of them.
Now, here we are, two Caucasians talking about a documentary with a Black woman, and both of us are not prejudiced. We both are looking at this. There's nothing in this film that I found that pointed fingers at prejudice or anything. It was all her story, and her story needs to be told. It needs, because there are so many people like her that don't have a voice.
Yes, indeed. And I tell you something, you hit on something at least personal for me. When we finished this film, and I say we, I mean, you understand, I was behind the camera, Sandy was in front of the camera.
Yeah.
When we finally accomplished it, and I'm talking about the theater, when everybody was applauding, we were just so thrilled, and I personally was thrilled. I said, look what I've accomplished, and I'm going to enjoy this moment. But the moment is fleeting. It's fleeting because I enjoyed it, and the next morning I woke up and I looked up and I said, well, what's next? What's next on my agenda? Because I always like challenges that are big and are hard. Okay, little ones are nice, but I don't stay away. I stay away from them because if they're easy, anybody could do it. So I like to choose the really hard assignments. And this one was really, really hard. And I'm wondering what is going to be next myself. I can tell you the film before this, Running with the Covert Narcissist, that was really hard because everybody I spoke to said that you couldn't make the film, but I made it anyway. So that's what I mean about trying to accomplish tough things.
Well, the other thing is the healing potential for all of this. I mean, the idea that we're all going through drastic changes right now, and we're all being asked to get out of the box that our culture or our religion or our country, whatever box we put ourselves in, and think bigger and think from here rather than just here. And that just because it's always done one way doesn't mean it's ever has to stay that way, right?
Absolutely. Let me talk about that for a second.
Okay,
You hit on something very, very important in my life. So, and it's in the film. It's about 3/4 of the way through the film. It's what I'm talking about. It was life changing for me, right? I am interviewing Dr. Sandra Road's husband, right? And I'm sitting in a chair and he's sitting across from me, and the camera is here and the camera is pointed at him. And he's talking about something. He said, you know, a lot of people in my wife's life, or some people in her life, they were backstabbers and they tried to stab my wife in the back about her trying to do something good. And he went on to say that in the aftermath, when those offenders got into trouble or they needed help or they had strife, who came to bat for them? Because it was my wife, Dr. Sandra Road, actually went to bat for them. And that element of forgiveness was just amazing. And when he said that, the hair on the back of my neck just stood up, and I must have turned ghost white because I was comparing what he was saying about forgiveness to my situation 3 years ago. Because Kathy, a lot of people were telling me, you have to forgive this guy. And I said, well, that's not going to happen. I will bet you my life it's not going to happen. I bet you my wife's life. I bet you this house that I will never forgive this guy. And they said, well, when you forgive, it's really for yourself. It's not for, telling the other person. And in fact, when you do forgive, it's not an admission of guilt. You're not condoning what they did. You're not saying, oh gosh, you were right and I was right. That's not what it was. And I finally got that sentiment when, right after that interview, I was packing up my tripod and camera, and I was thinking about it, that maybe this guy is going to be forgiven by me, the guy that from 3 years ago. And I did, and the weight off my shoulders was immediate. And that one moment that's in the film changed my life, and it
Wow.
changed it for the better. It was remarkable.
Wow. Well, that's what the opportunity is with the whole film, is for people to look at their own circumstance and integrate, just pretend you're the doc as you're going through life, and see, how could you see the love that these people are, even though they're misbehaving? How can you, no matter what their actions are, see them as love, as God, as a piece of the whole, and that their actions are the things that need to be forgiven, not necessarily them? Because we all wake up, you said, tomorrow I might wake up and what's my next project? We all wake up every single morning with an opportunity to select who and how we're going to be today. And that's what she did. She just said, I don't care what that was. I'm not carrying that steamer trunk of my story that was so heavy and hurtful. I'm not carrying it forward. I'm going to use it as a trampoline to go spring out of it and go help others, because she could see it's an epidemic. I mean, man's inhumanity to man, or woman to woman, we need to heal that.
Well, with that, since you said that sentiment, I want to kind of turn the tables on you a little bit, Kathy. Okay. I know you're interviewing me, but I want to interview you for like a minute or so. Okay. You and I have something in common, and that's that we're both empaths. All the people go, oh, that's nice, you feel for me. But you and I both know that that's not exactly an asset a lot of the times.
Right.
But just because we're altruistic and we want to do great things, many times it backfires on us. And that's exactly how I got into trouble 3 years ago, trying to do something nice for somebody, and they went after my, neck.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've had that happen, I'm sure, and I want to know what you did, to how you responded and how you got out of it.
Okay, well, I'll tell you that I started Conscious Business Zone because somebody hurt me to the core, and I could barely get out of bed. And so 7 years ago, this man that I'd been living with for 6 years, that I thought was my husband, took off and eventually married someone else. But he took off, sent me an email to break it off. He was in India and I was supposed to meet him there. And he hasn't contacted any of our friends, any of our mutual friends. We had a life here. Anyway, so I could barely get out of bed. I couldn't stop crying. So I thought of, well, I'm just going to interview all my friends. And I've been doing this for so long. I had a book, because I've helped all these Hay House authors and everything. I said, I'm just going to do a show. I did it twice a week. And so I knew I'd get up on Tuesdays and Thursdays and get up out of bed and put makeup on and put on a decent outfit and do. And almost 7 years later, I'm still doing it. So yeah,
Wow.
it's really it isn't, suffering is optional. It is not necessary. Go out and serve. Because once you start serving others, you see that what you had was a lesson or a strange way to wrap a gift, right? The same thing with you, with your situations. I mean, in hindsight, everything always is healed, right?
Yeah.
Or it was part of what made you the personality that you are.
I have a friend of mine who told me that almost in the exact same words, because I was saying, that was a terrible part of my life. I wish I could rewind and change it. And he said, that was meant for you to go through that. It was for a reason. It was very difficult for you, but you went through that for a reason. And I can't deny that, because I really want to talk about resilience as a face, but going back to Running with a Covert Narcissist, well over 30,000 people have seen that film, and I still get emails and texts and just contacts and ask to speak about that. So I've affected thousands of people by making that film, and it's like a huge accomplishment. And I never would have accomplished that had I not gone through that. And in hindsight, I go, you know what? Knowing what I did today, I'm glad I made the sacrifice, and I would make the sacrifice again.
Well, I don't know that we necessarily, in these changing times, will necessarily have to stumble that hard. Because now, as empaths, now when something triggers you, or you see something, or your reaction, you almost have a automatic reaction to something in your field, you get to wonder what that is and try to heal it. But you may not have even been acutely aware of it if you wouldn't have had those other experiences, right?
It's funny that way, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, whoever
funny, but
did this game, they did a great design job. That's all I know.
Say that again.
Whoever, I'm talking about the universe, or
yeah.
whoever planned this game.
Yeah.
They put it all together.
Yeah, it's tough. I think Dr. Sandra Road went through more than she had to.
Yeah.
But it certainly made her the person that she is today. I mean, she not only came out of the gutter, but she's helping children. I don't want to spoil the film for anybody, but
but I think you should give them enough of a insight so they'll want to watch it. So I think, I'm going to put your full screen. So
well, quite frankly, she's accomplished something that I remember, like 20 years ago, I was like, wow, look what she did. And she keeps topping herself. She now goes all over the world, and she's changing children's lives in India, just everywhere, Africa, Mexico. And it's like, Sandy, when are you going to stop? Where is the limit for you? And she hasn't reached her limit. It's amazing. It's just, I'm like, you're just in awe. And I hope people watch this film and feel that, because she's remarkable.
Well, that's the other thing that I wanted to explain about the commonality of this film and the NDE film, was that the people that have gone through it's almost like a brick wall. They hit this obstacle that's very difficult to pass, and they come out as a different person. And she chose, she could have seriously, there's so many victim stories in our culture that people, oh, poor them, and they get all more attention from the doctor than they get from others, so they stay in that story, or they get being bad is still attention. It's better than no attention. I mean, you think of all the stories, and then when you think of the story in Resilience Has a Face, it is so inspiring. The fact that we're not all done and that we have never really touched the limits of what we can do is palpable right now, because we're seriously, if you look at the world stage, we are being asked to come up with whole new paradigms to create an equitable, loving world. The societal structures we have are not equitable. They're not sustainable anymore.
You know, apparently we're reaching somebody, because on the website where you can watch the film, resiliencehasaface.com, there's a feedback page. All right. And there's like 20 things of feedback. Some of them know Dr. Road, some of them don't know Dr. Road, and they write how the film affected them. So, you know what? I think that we're making a dent in that.
Right.
It's really,
right.
And there's a lot of other things that you can do on the page. There's on the web page, you can get, the website. There's web pages where you can get help. You know, there's stuff about me, there's stuff about Sandy, there's the trailer, there's a whole bunch of wonderful things that you can do.
So we want everyone to go to the page, watch the trailer again, but really spend an hour and watch, and you will be inspired. And you may want your kids to watch this. This is a story of pure love, of someone really becoming the love that they didn't experience.
Yeah.
They
And
gave
just
themselves that gift.
what's that gift?
They gave themselves the gift of love.
Yeah. Just a little footnote there for young people watching it. Yes, I agree. But be aware that the beginning of the film is a little tough. The first 15 minutes is, you know, nothing to have chocolate milk and marshmallows over. It's a little rough, but it becomes beautiful.
Yeah, the thing is that, as I said, if they're even watching cartoons, the cartoons are violent. So I don't think that our entertainment industry has not, unless you're watching Hallmark or something that's, you know, happy ending type of thing, that you're going to find violence everywhere in our culture. So I think that they'll be okay seeing that. But the thing is that the only way to heal is through. And she somehow knew that, and she's helping others work through, right?
Yeah. By the thousands and thousands. That's what she's doing. Yeah.
So when you think of your experience with her, you said you videotaped her before for other events and stuff. So what inspired you to tell this story? I mean, were you tapped on the shoulder and said, this is your next project, or how did this happen?
Dr. Sandra Road is a no nonsense person. She's in a little bit like me in the way that I'm a straight shooter. Good. And let me tell you something, the film just carried itself because she tells it like it is. And I believe that it's her son who says, you know what? She's a tough lady, but she'll always be in your corner if you need her, as long as you're straightforward. So that made the film very palatable and easy to make in one aspect, but it was still hard to make.
Yeah. So, but I'm asking you've how did you decide to make the project? I mean, I feel like you have an angel on your shoulder and it says next, next. Did you feel, I know you said her daughter contacted you, or
Her
son,
grandson.
or grandson.
Her
Okay.
grandson.
But did you get a yes? I mean, when I do stuff, I definitely get a memo from somewhere and I just go, okay, I don't know what it's about. I'm just going to do it. I just trust it.
Well, like I mentioned this earlier. Yeah, he suggested, and I talked to Sandy, and she at first said no, but I believed in it, and I felt that she might believe in it, and I let it play out. I didn't bother her, and 2 weeks later, I get a text message on the phone said that I'll do it. So that's exactly how it came.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, but you didn't feel like it was an angelic intervention or anything from the bigger scope of things?
I'm embarrassed to say that practically everything that I do is a little bit angelic. I didn't know that until like 2 or 3 years ago, until Peace on Both Sides of the Gate really woke me up. I said, maybe there's something going on here. And yeah, I believe that.
Wow. Well, I publicized that movie, and I was shocked how many women empaths somehow attract these experiences until they don't.
Right.
And I was shocked how many people had experienced it, and I didn't even have the words for it. I didn't really know what a narcissist. I mean, that's a name, a category, a definition that I hadn't used about people.
Me either. I didn't know what it was either.
Yeah. So, and naming it kind of anchors it in, and you don't really want to name it if you don't have to. But the healing is real, and the pain and suffering is real.
It is.
Right. Yeah. So James, thank you so much for giving everyone the opportunity to have these experiences. You tell us a little bit, because I think have you made 6?
5.
5. Okay. 5. So I know of 3 of them. What are the other 2?
So going backwards, number 5 is Resilience as a Face.
Right.
Number 4 is Running with a Covert Narcissist. Number 3, going backwards. Number 3 is Peace on the Gate, Peace on Both Sides of the Gate. That's about NDEs. Number 2 is about an incredible family called the Smiths, and it's called The Smiths Perspective. And the movie is about how they rallied around the mother and her situation. And it's a family like no other family. And my first film, which is going way back to like 2017, is about 3 different people from 3 different locations who have 3 different backgrounds, and they have 3 different goals that they're trying to accomplish. And I tie them all together and make it universal.
Wow. Okay. So I'll have to see. Are they all on James Bonato video.com?
Yeah, just click on the documentary film and you can watch all 5 of them.
Okay. And then I'll stop this a second. Do you have an inspiration to go big screen? I mean, you did a town hall meeting where you did big screen. Do you have an inspiration to go big screen with all of these, where they be?
That would be kind of nice, but then there's so much red tape and there's so much money involved. I kind of just love where I am. I try and reach people through social media and through any different type of avenue that I can get, and that seems to work for me.
Oh, okay. So maybe by chance it might get picked up, but
that's true. There you go.
Well, thank you so much, James, and bless you for this work. It's just we need heroes, and Resilience Has a Face really shares a way for all of us to rethink who's our hero, who we really want to model, and really who's showing us the path to wholeness. Because the others are just, I don't know how to explain it, but for me, it's a profound lesson that she shares.
Indeed.
So thank you, James. So if everyone wants to reach you, could you share the best way to find you?
Sure, that would be on my website, which is my name, jamesbonatovideo.com.
Okay.
Don't forget the video, jamesbonatovideo.com.
Yes. And there you can find links to all of the videos. And as James has said, he's very generous. All of these videos are free to watch. If you're thinking of watching Netflix or something tonight, instead, maybe after dinner, watch Resilience Has a Face. And you'll be glad you did, because you'll see that the story is told in a way that can only uplift you. There's no shame or blame or anything but love in it. It's just a love message,
Thank
and
you.
an opportunity for all of us to be that.
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you, James. Well, again, go to jamesbonatovideo.com. And the newest movie that we're talking about today that we showed the trailer of is Resilience Has a Face.
And that has the dedicated website, resiliencehasaface.com.
Right. And that's in the description, and it's been going across the banner too. So please do yourself a favor if you're doing a family meeting, a family dinner, just like we're coming up to Easter, do yourself a favor and share this, because the story, these are the stories that will really help us create the new world.
Very
right.
Good.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you, James. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.